So it's strength on strength. Vanderbilt wants to run the ball. They want to establish the run. Texas obviously great at taking away the run. Bobby, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, and another week discussing Vanderbilt football. Some things never change, huh? The first thing I want to point out here is actually a little bit of the spot. This is actually Texas's first home game since September 20th. 3 straight on the road, mixed in with a bye and a neutral site game against Oklahoma. And of course, for Vandy, it's the 4th straight game against a top 20 team. I think the advantage here comes here with the Texas defense, elite at preventing rush explosiveness and stopping the run in general. We saw them slow down a really good Mississippi State rush offense last week, forcing Shapen to throw, even though it's a unique offense. If Texas can create 3rd and longs here, I expect this Texas pass rush to get after Pavia, as the Vandy offensive line is much better in run blocking than pass protection and can make things difficult on Pavia. I have some concerns on the other side of the ball about the Vandy pass defense. We've seen pass-first offenses having success against them, and in comeback mode, I thought Arch looked pretty decent, and I thought that could create good momentum coming off that game at that performance late in that game, putting up 45 points against Mississippi State there. Now, Arch, in concussion protocol, if he can't go, it'll be Matthew Caldwell, who's an experienced quarterback coming in from Troy and elsewhere. He started there before. He's not amazing, but this isn't like a Levitt to Jeff Sims situation either. Overall, I think this game looks a lot like the Alabama game for Vandy, where Pavia put up a negative EPA per play, 42% success rate passing on 35 dropbacks against a much worse Alabama pass rush. And we saw Vandy offense struggle against Mizzou front last week on the ground and through the air. No play for me on the total, but I actually like Texas quite a bit here. I laid a cheap money line on Monday morning. I really like that side in this game.
A game with Big 12 championship implications. The Texas Tech Red Raiders laying 7 in Manhattan, Kansas. Total of 52.5. Bobby, Texas Tech took a loss at Arizona State. They don't look like the juggernaut that the media kind of made them out to be. And they're facing a Kansas State team that honestly is kind of rebounded. Offensively, things are getting it together. This is a team that's now scored 30 or more points in their last 4 games straight. So, Bobby, what are we thinking here with Texas Tech and Kansas State?
Yeah, admittedly, best bets haven't gone well at times this season. But K-State, we've been ahead on the market on a few things, and K-State figuring out post the bye was one of them. Specifically on offense, you mentioned they've scored at least 34 points in their last 4 Big 12 games. Now they haven't faced an defensive front or a defense in general like Texas Tech, but K-State offensive line's done a pretty good job keeping Avery Johnson clean. Although his mobility certainly helps. He has improved as a passer. Completion percentage is up 4 points over last year, 15-2 touchdown interception ratio, and he's doing a great job hitting explosive pass plays to wide receiver Chase Brown. Dylan Edwards, running back, is going to be out for this one with a foot injury as well. On the other side, Baron Morton, he's going to play quarterback for Texas Tech. I think he could have suited up versus Oklahoma State, but they were, 37.5-point favorites against the Cowboys last week. There was no need to do that. Of course, they lost backup Will Hammond, freshman, for the year. And now Mitch Griffiths of Wake Forest fame is now the backup. He isn't good, but he is still better than the drop-off Texas Tech still used to having backups prior to having Hammond and Griffiths, should Morton not be able to finish this game or in future games. The Kansas State defense it's fine. They give up the explosive play. I expect Texas Tech to be able to score points, provided Morton, quite frankly, plays and finishes this game. They're going to score points. The market is mostly stagnant on this game, 7-53. You've kind of seen a little back and forth there. I think this game totally comes down to Avery Johnson and the K-State offense and how they perform up front and if they can score points. I think that if they can, this game sails over the total in the way. If I had to play side or total in this game, that would be the way. It's just not something I've clicked to this point. I did, however, shout out to Charles in the chat on Sunday night.
Yep.
I did place a Chipotle burrito bet on Kansas State, 40-1 Big 12, as the way to potentially play the Wildcats in this game. It's 33-1 at FanDuel, 35 at DK, 40-1 still at a prominent offshore. The Wildcats have Texas Tech, obviously, this week, and Utah left on the schedule. Both QBs I can't promise you finish those games. And then
Right.
Colorado and Oklahoma State as well, potentially 2 dead teams. It looks like with them winning out, working with some of the tiebreakers, they can get to they win some of those and get to the title game. So I think that is worth a small sprinkle. Shop around, of course, on that one as a potential way to play this game, but I'm not actually playing the K-State side to this point. But again, shout out to Charles for that call out for this one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Charles. Southern Cal currently laying 6 on the road at Nebraska with a total of 59. This was our People's Choice Game of the Week, as voted on by you in our Twitter poll Tuesday. This was also a Sunday morning coffee bet where we laid the 5.5. We're getting some market agreement. Bobby, I don't like anything about Nebraska football. I don't like anything that they've done recently either. Nebraska currently 1-6 against the number. Their only cover so far this year was against Akron, and if you want to count FCS Houston Christian, go right ahead. But this is a Southern Cal team that's a lot of public rating models have number 1 as the best offense in college football. So certainly a team that can get margin. And the voodoo against Lincoln Riley has been his teams can't play well, not on the West Coast. If you're ever going to get right, it would be off of a bye week, which Southern Cal is. So Bobby, tell me where I'm wrong. Is Southern Cal going to cover the 5.5 or the 6 against Nebraska this weekend?
I, too, am not a fan of this Nebraska team and Dylan Raiola in general. He's quite really been a check down merchant. He's been sacked 25 times this year. Part of that's because the offensive line is bad. Part of that is also because he kind of running into sacks a couple times here in this one. The Huskers also have additionally been really bad running the ball. And that's where you want to attack USC is on the ground. If they can't do that, this USC pass rush is quite good. And I expect them to be able to get to Raiola and quite frankly, bully Nebraska in the trenches here. Additionally, Nebraska runs at a really slow pace. They're not explosive at all. As I mentioned, Raiola likes to check it down. And that really hurts the initial handicap for this game, which I thought at the key of 59 was actually going over the total. And that's because the other side of the ball, the Nebraska defensive line is also a unit that I think is awful. They can't stop the run. They don't get after the passer. Average offenses like Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, they're putting up 24 points. And USC's offense is, as you mentioned, first in the country in a bunch of advanced metrics, but top 5 individually in all of them, basically. Malachi Lemon, Jacoby Lane, awesome wide receiver duo. They're by far the best 2 receivers individually that USC or that Nebraska has seen. I expect USC to put up a ton of points here. You mentioned and glanced over USC struggles on the road the past couple of years under Lincoln Riley. This isn't a full cross-country trip. Just to the center of the country here in Lincoln. You mentioned USC coming off the bye, against Notre Dame a few weeks back in the rain. And that offensive performance in the second half was suppressed because the weather turned at halftime in that one.
Right.
As well. We did see those early week buys, including you on Sunday Morning Coffee at 5.5 and 6. And we've seen some Nebraska money come back at 7. I think kind of playing that road spot, maybe playing a little bit of a number, I guess. I think the best way to play this game is actually the USC team total over in the low 30s. Going to be somewhere 33-ish range. I think they get to, at least 35 here, put up 5 touchdowns in this one. So that would be the way I prefer to play it. USC team total over.
Before we get into our market segment, guys, if you want to drop us some comments in the chat, Bobby and I will get to them live. If we don't get to them live, we will certainly respond to them within YouTube, but also address them on Twitter. We had a really great question that we missed, and we got to it regarding Iowa's playoff potential. Awesome question. Thank you, Michael, for asking it. So, Bobby, we'll dive right into the market, and we're going to start with some Halloween games.
Yep. Friday night, 3:15, 3:16, Memphis Rice. Really annoyed with myself at this one. I hesitated on the under just based on concerns about Rice's defense a little bit. But, that under's seen some movement here. Obviously, Memphis quarterback Brandon Lewis off the injury, short week. It's a great spot for Rice. Agree with that under movement there. Right below it, 3:17, 3:18, UNC and Syracuse. We've seen under money based on back-to-back solid defensive performances by the Tar Heels and further proof that Syracuse quarterback Ricky Collins just flat out can't play.
Yeah.
Agree with the under move, and I actually like the dog here. I think I'm going to get to the window with some UNC money line as well.
Before I keep scrolling, I don't want to scroll any further. Oklahoma, Tennessee, that was a game for us. Bobby, this is one that I really like Tennessee. It's a bet for me, not a best bet. But I think Neyland at night, getting road material, and if any subjective handicap would tell you Heupel's extra prep, right? And that staff's extra prep with Luttrell getting let go at Oklahoma, now an offensive analyst at Tennessee. I think the Vols definitely are geared up for this one. Oklahoma should bounce back after the loss to Ole Miss, but wanted to get your thoughts here on the side and total in Oklahoma, Tennessee.
Unfortunately, I have a pretty boring take here. We have seen some Sooners money come in on this one, taking out basically everything above 3 in this one. I know FanDuel's still hanging out there at 3.5, but mostly it's just flat. It's this flat 3 across the market here. To me, this is a good luck if you bet it game. I quite frankly could make a case for over under both sides on the game. I got absolutely nothing here on this one. Unfortunately, Corey, best of luck to you on this one. I think it's a very intriguing matchup with two different styles. Obviously, there's a ton of coaching, motivation, whatnot, back and forth between the two schools. Heupel not so friendly with his alma mater, etc.
Right.
So yeah, this was an easy pass, staying far away from this one for me.
Right on.
Next down the board, 329, 330, Duke, Clemson over money. I'm assuming that's based on some Cade Klubnik news, maybe back at practice, but we've also seen some sharp Duke money taking out the 3s. So a little contradicting action there on that one, Duke and over, as the markets move there. 345, 346, Central Michigan, Western Michigan. We've seen some chips money taking out the 6s. We've also seen market agreement on our under from Sunday at 41.5. Now you're seeing mostly 40.5s there. Yep. 355, 356, Arizona State, Iowa State. We mentioned the market might be telling you something with this one. It did. Sam Levitt out, Jeff Sims in. Massive move, warranted. It's now above 7. Don't do anything now. You're late. 363, 364, Cincinnati and Utah. Early week money on Utah here. I know I bought some 6.5 and 7 myself. Agree with the move. Not worth a bet now on this one, to say the least. As we scroll down here.
Kentucky Auburn. That's the one I wanted to get to.
Nice.
So Bobby, this is one that a little bit perplexing to me. We talked about it on Sunday night show, where we felt that Kentucky Auburn no longer, that's an under auto click based on the performance of the quarterbacks. Auburn making the quarterback change should help the offense take a step in the right direction. And Cutter Boley for Kentucky definitely showing big signs of improvement, making big strides. This is his second road game. He got his first road start at Georgia, so hopefully some of those jitters are out of the way. The market has taken this game towards the under. At what point does this become an overbuy for you? At what number would you like to see before maybe you would go click the over button?
Yeah, obviously that was a very interesting total from Sunday night. You mentioned us going, hey, like, hold up, this isn't a crazy like auto click under. We have seen that under money. There's Cam Coleman, Auburn wide receiver, some questionable. Based on that, I would say that's a drop off there. And would certainly play to an under if the wide receivers were hobbled, can't go there. Obviously Ash Daniels getting first team reps this week as well for Auburn. Like I said, I think that's like better for them in
it
general.
Has to be. It can't be any worse than what it was.
Right. I think that if this got to, my instincts are, and I need to do a little bit more work on it. But if the wide receivers were in for Auburn and this was flat 44, I think that's where I would think I would consider buying. Otherwise, like, I think this range is fine right now. But I am interested in Kentucky, Auburn kind of maybe going forward, and if their offenses kind of advance forward a little bit.
Got a user submitted question here. Thoughts on the game right below it? Mississippi State at Arkansas. I got a thought. We played the over 64 on Sunday Morning Coffee. This is a dead over game for me.
Yeah, over nothing here in this one, in the Heartbreak Bowl. Both teams heartbreaking losses last week. with all-in efforts. To me, this is like the variance game of the day. I think that I have not played anything here, but I would rather play like plus money options. I'm not like, I think the 4.5 is fine, but I would rather like lay 6.5 with Arkansas or take Miss State money line than play at minus 110 in this one.
Would you play alternate overs here? I mean, this feels like you could play in the 80s pretty easily. Weather dependent, right? I haven't checked the weather, but
yes, of course. Yeah. All totals are weather dependent at all times. I struggle with all overs when you get to it's already in the high 60s. To this point, I see the case for it. I would rather like maybe there's a turnover early, taking a live over at maybe 62 or something. If you get a couple slow possessions to start, I'd rather do something that way than take something plus, taking an over 79.5 or something like that. Just too easy for those to just go awry.
Appreciate the question.
Yeah. Speaking of high total games, right below it, Navy North Texas here. Couple leading indicator books showing 7 here on North Texas. I kind of want to bet them subjectively here, or over. North Texas team total over. I haven't decided what way I want to play it just yet, but I do think Navy is very fortunate to be 7-0, and there's some matchup edges here. It's just I saw Army be able to come back on North Texas, why I haven't gotten to the window clicking that yet. And then last one here for this segment, 395, 396, South Carolina, Ole Miss. South Carolina money, taking out the 13s. I agree with that one, admittingly, like that this one almost made a segment, the next segment in the show.
Right on. Before we get to best bets, guys, if you don't mind clicking like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you don't mind leaving us a 5-star review on Spotify, it really goes a long way to helping Bobby and I in supporting the show. So we greatly appreciate it. Bobby, best bets, we went with the under, 2 unders on Sunday night. We had the under 49.5 in West Virginia at Houston. And then we also have the market agreement that you already touched on with CMU and Western Michigan. If you want more analysis on those games, just go back and rewatch Sunday's show. So we have one more best bet for you guys for this week, for week 10. That's another underplay. Florida State Wake under 50.5. Bobby, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yep, gave you 0-5 last week, so this week we'll give you 3 unders and rooting for punts. I like the Wake defense quite a bit here. Top 10 in success rate, EPA defense. They've held some mobile quarterbacks in Haynes King, Jennings of SMU, below season averages. Tommy Castellanos obviously coming off the concussion. Does he run less? Does he run less aggressively in that Florida State offense? And I'm not sure how much Wake can really put up against FSU as well, as their best asset is Damon Claiborne on the ground. And that's where Florida State's a little bit better defensively. I think we're looking at like a 27-17 foot type final here in Tallahassee. So that would be under the posted total of 50.5.
You can follow Bobby at BobbyDigital2 on X. You can follow the show on X at CFB900. Bobby and I will be back here on Sunday night breaking down everything that happened in week 10 and looking ahead to week 11. Until then, happy Halloween and wishing you guys the absolute best of luck. We'll see you back here Sunday. Adios.